Bryant Reckling. His company is called True Craft. Bryant, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's tell people True Craft, in case they have not heard of your business. Let's tell people about your business.
So True Craft Market is we're a specialty foods market, but we also serve breakfast and lunch. We do kind of grab-and-go meals, oven-ready meals directed towards families. And then we also have breakfast tacos and burgers. We do a really good cheeseburger. We always have a different special every day. We do lots of different kind of high-quality cooking where it's everything's made from scratch, and we really put an emphasis on the ingredients that we're using.
So there you are. We've painted the picture. Everyone's getting hungry once again. Burgers, all those things. As far as the background of the business, Bryant, let's tell people, because your background's very interesting. Obviously, you love food. A lot of what you do today is a result of traveling and your adventures. Let's talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so I grew up I come from a family of 5 boys, so my mom was always cooking, and
everybody's hungry.
I'm like, oh my God.
So our family was always cooking growing up, and I just kind of, from a young age, I took a liking to it, and then I went to TCU, and I started cooking more and more for my roommates and whatnot, and then I ended up actually started working in restaurants for the Mandolas at their fast casual restaurant called Pronto back in college, and I just kind of fell in love with it, and so when I got out of college, I worked for a caterer here in town, and I worked for him for about maybe 6 or 8 months, and I said I could do this on my own, and so I started a little barbecue catering with kind of family directed or like backyard barbecue type stuff. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I decided that I wanted to travel off to Australia and see if I could maybe learn a little bit more and also kind of just gain some experiences that I didn't get in college and high school. And so I worked for a restaurant called Rockpool Bar and Grill, which was number 3 in the world in 2003, and they do all live fire cooking.
That's in Australia?
Yes, yeah,
Wow.
in Melbourne, Australia. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, why did you choose that path instead of, culinary school or somewhere here in Texas? Or talk to me about that. I think that's so cool.
So I spent my time, obviously, or I spent 4 years going to like an actual university, and I'm not a school person, so I wanted to go get more hands-on training, and I felt like that I couldn't find the right person to kind of mentor me in Houston, and so we just decided to kind of take a leap, and it was actually one of the best decisions that I've made. It was really just kind of a life-changing experience. It helped me grow up a little bit and kind of figure out exactly what I wanted to do with my business and my life, and both personally and professionally.
What was your experience there? You told us a little bit about like the number of chefs you worked with and that kind of thing before the show. Talk a little more about like what your experience in Australia was.
So it was like from a professional standpoint, it was a very it was long days, long hours. I was probably working 70 hours a week and really, it was a grind, but I was learning from some of the guys that had worked at this restaurant for 15, 20 years, and they were working the grills. And so that's how I learn is by watching people, and I mean, I picked up so many different aspects, and I made lifelong friendships, and I worked with people from France, South Korea, China, Japan, literally kind of all over the world. So it was India, very interesting and eye-opening experience coming from the small bubble that I lived in for the first 25 years of my life.
One of the things I'm thinking about, first of all, Australia. I've never been. It's fascinating. Have you been there, Jenny?
I have not been there.
It's on my list. I want to go.
On my list. Yep.
But first of all, how you chose Australia to go for this research and it really sounds like a tremendous adventure as well. But why did you pick Melbourne? And then did you have a strategy in mind to say, okay, did you already know people, or did you say, I'm going to start seeking out these chefs and these culinary
So I had a friend from high school that kind of did something similar. He wasn't like in the hospitality industry, but he was a good friend. We played baseball together in high school, and he went and he did this for 2 years. And the way he paid for his travel was working in hospitality, and around the country of, so he'd work in one area for 6 or 8 months, and then he'd move on, and he got to travel, and it paid for his travels. And my wife and I, we love to travel. We don't get to do it quite as much anymore.
You get to travel around Houston.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so I saw that he was doing it, and I asked him about it, and he was like, oh, yeah, like, I get paid pretty well, and I get to, have a lot of freedom to kind of do what I want to do. And I started looking into different chefs and I said, hey, I'd like to try and go work for one of these people. And I actually went to 25 to 30 different restaurants and gave them my resume. Only 2 called back. And so I got a stage at one. I did it, and they gave me the job. A stage is basically when you go in and you work for free, and they kind of see how you work in a kitchen. So they gave me the job.
That's your school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Very
but
cool.
it wasn't the right fit for me. It was kind of a little bit more basic than what I wanted to be doing. Like they had me like kind of like cutting French fries they put me like in a closet and told me like, hey, cut a case of French fries for us. And then I was like frying stuff, and I wanted a little bit more advanced, kind of cooking techniques and stuff like that. And so I kept searching, and then I finally found Rockpool Bar and Grill, and they gave me a stage. And then and this was like a dream come true because they dry age beef, and I love steaks and cooking steaks. It's wood fire cooking, which I also loved. And they'd bring in all this fresh produce like oysters, and it was a bigger team. Like the other job was maybe 1 or 2 people, and it wasn't a right fit for me. Coming into this bigger team environment, I've really got to see. I was so welcomed in by them. It was really interesting because you always hear about kitchens and how they're hard-nosed, and this kitchen was not like that at all. Like everybody kind of knew my name. Like it was almost like they briefed everybody that, hey, I was coming in that day, and it was just very welcoming. It was very team oriented, and so they were very willing to teach, even if I was slower than 99% of the people there.
We're talking with Bryant Reckling. His company is True Craft Market. Bryant, when you were in Australia, going back to that, we want to talk about the wood fire. That just sounds good. I could hear the crackling of the wood right now. However, as far as the menu that they had, it sounds like beef was a big part of it, but also, and a stupid question because I've not been, is Melbourne near the water?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you had
it is on the
seafood,
water.
it had the
Yes,
full
yeah.
gamut of-
Oh, yeah. They would.
Wow, that's
They
some
would
good
get
food there.
fresh oysters from, I think it was called Coffin Bay, Australia, actually. And we actually got to go and eat oyster. We shucked oysters right there, like in the bay.
That's so
and
cool.
shucked the oysters and ate them right out of the. I can't eat an oyster here in Texas anymore because these were the best oysters I've ever had. And so I'm never going to top
It ruined you.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't eat oysters anymore, actually.
Well, tell us about the wood firing part of cooking. Now, do you do that here as well?
Yes, yeah. We have a wood fire rotisserie. So we do wood fire rotisserie chickens every morning at True Craft, and then we also do some different grilled. We grill a lot of different salsas, like for our breakfast tacos. We also do some grilled meats, but you can't replicate a wood fire grill in any other way. It imparts a flavor into meats and vegetables that nothing else can, and it's very primitive. Like fire has made humans be able to advance for millions of years, right? So it's very primitive. I read a book about it actually, about how fire has evolved humans so much because it breaks down the proteins in the food, so we don't have to work as hard we can use that energy to work on other things rather than having to use it for survival.
What kind of wood do you
Interesting.
use?
We use a oak wood. It's all local, but it's all seasoned. You season it for 9 to 12 months probably, and you got to make sure it's not green because like yesterday, downpour, and if you have green wood, it won't.
No good.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, I got to ask this. I don't know if anyone else is interested in this part, but a selfish question. You mentioned steaks, fires, and those sorts of things. Let's say, forget the business part of your world. Let's say you want to cook a steak at home. What happens there? Does that ever happen, number one? And then how do you cook your steak? Give us a steak cooking tip, please.
It does happen. Maybe I used to probably eat a steak a week, but I've kind of cut it back a little bit. I'll probably eat maybe 2 steaks a month, but if I can, I'd try and source it. I have a farm or a ranch that we'd work with out of Midland. It's called Scarborough Ranch or Midland Meat Company. They've got a storefront there, and they're a really great beef producer. It's all Hereford and Wagyu cross, but I prefer to grill it just as hot as I can get my fire. And I'll
you use charcoal or a gas grill?
I'll use a lump charcoal at home. Okay. At home, I have a green egg, and it's quick and easy. But like ideally, if you have the time and the equipment, cooking, you're burning down wood and using that but you have to have like 2 hours to burn your fire right and all this stuff. So it's usually not an option, but lump charcoal, any sort of, it's B&B is a good brand that, it lights well. And I typically will use, if I'm grilling a steak like that, I'd use a mesquite wood. It burns a little bit hotter, gives it a little bit different flavor. But I will cook it as hot as I can, just salt and pepper. I'll temper the steak maybe for an hour on the so I'll put it out on the countertop.
Room temp, get it to room temperature. Yes,
exactly, yeah. And then salt, like really nice salt, like a sea salt, and fresh cracked pepper. We make a tallow at True Craft where we cook down the leftover fat. It's pure. It actually will last for years. But sometimes I'll rub that on it, and before I salt and pepper it, basically just grill it on both sides and sear it. I never do. I don't time my steaks. It's more of a color thing. But I've done it so much that it's harder to explain. But you just want like a good crust, and then at the very end, I make like a garlic herb butter. And we melt that over it, or we baste that, so it like basically livens the fire up. And,
you had to ask.
Yeah.
I'm starving.
When are we going over to his house?
Yeah, exactly.
Give us a call.
Time.
Well, just let us know when that's going to happen.
That sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's kind of my go-to, and then I would serve that probably with like some Robuchon potatoes and maybe like which is just a whipped potato. Some broccolini or green or salad.
I mean, you guys eat well at your house.
yeah, we do.
So what other kinds of dishes? You said you have breakfast, kind of pick up and go breakfast in the morning for like lunch, and then the pickup options for the afternoon, evening, for families, for dinner. What kind of options do you have there? For
like as far as the pickup food, we do primarily, like our biggest seller is going to be our brisket enchiladas. That's by far, we probably sell 3 or 4 times as much of the brisket enchiladas as anything else. They kind of just fly off the shelves. But we also do chicken, cheese, spinach. So if you have like different dietary restrictions, we do try and work with people on that. And then we also have chicken and sausage gumbo, chicken soups, different salads, and we have some dips like chicken salad. We also have a tuna salad. What else? We do burger kits as well, like where. And
this is all stuff we can pick up and go take home.
So great.
Yeah. So like if you're busy mom or dad and you've got 3 or 4 kids, you could come pick up a burger kit, and everything's pre-portioned. All the lettuce and onions and tomatoes, everything is that's all going to be cut. And we give our sauce. So it's basically having our burger, but you just finish. You cook the patty there at your house and toast the bun.
That's so smart, because I feel like especially in this day and age, people are so busy. Yeah. They would love to come sit and eat a nice meal, but there's no time, right?
Yeah,
but there's also not time to cook a great from scratch meal.
Exactly. And
it's not for
kind of part of our mission is to like bring people back to to the dinner table. Like when I was growing up, my mom cooked every day, and we would sit around the dinner table and we'd discuss our day. And you know, our culture has kind of lost that a little bit, where there's not as much of that family unit like that as like it was in the past.
And when there is, everyone's looking at their phone.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
so
we all have to put our
the
phones
phones down.
right?
Yeah.
But you have to make it happen, because we used to make our kids do that, and then they would get upset with us because they're like, well, why do you get to have your phone? You're still looking at,
right.
texting, whatever.
Well, people are probably wondering right now, where can they go? The address is 1024 Campbell Road. So they can pick up the burger kit. They can pick up all the items, the brisket enchiladas right there.
I'll be doing that today.
I'm going to be stopping by as well. 1024 Campbell Road. The company is True Craft Market, truecraftmarket.com.
Yes, sir.
And the owner, along with your wife. Let's talk about your wife a little bit. This is
and
Bryant Reckling.
What she's busy with.
She's minding the store right now where you're over here, I'm guessing.
No, she's actually not. She's she's got a much tougher job than I do. So we have a 2-year-old.
There you go.
And then we just had another baby, a little girl, about a month ago.
Congratulations.
And yeah, thank you. So Brandy worked for Landry's for maybe a few years, kind of not right out of college, but she worked for Landry. She actually had a fashion merchandising degree from TCU, and we met at TCU. And so she was working for Landry's, and then I decided I wanted to open True Craft, and she's like, okay, well, I'll come help. And she ran the front. So she ran the front until our first son was born. Now she does a lot of our kind of corporate catering and kind of back office type stuff now, but she works from home now, which is, it's given her a lot of freedom to be able to, take care of the kids, and then also, help out with the business.
That's awesome. So you just mentioned corporate catering. I don't think we've touched on that yet, but you also do corporate catering.
Yeah, lunches.
Talk to us a little bit. Yeah, what do you offer there?
We can really offer anything from our lunch menu or breakfast menu, but we can also, depending on the size, we can do box lunches, or we could do something as nice as past hors d'oeuvres, or buffet setups, or even seated dinners for like kind of a, if somebody wanted to have, a steak dinner type thing where, have us to their house and they have 8 of their, maybe it's a law firm, they have 8 of the partners there, and we cook them a steak dinner in their house. We can do that as well.
That's very cool. That's a great experience.
Yeah.
Bryant, what else do you want people to know?
Everything that we do at True Craft, we try and source the best possible ingredients that we can. Try and use ingredients that are not processed, because I think a lot of people are, or a lot of the ingredients that we eat nowadays in fast foods and from the grocery store, there's just so much processed foods, and I think that people can really like take the control of their health back by really eating whole foods, where you don't have to eat the most healthy. You can eat a piece of bread, or you can eat sugar if you want. You can have sweets, but all in moderation. I think it's really when you start eating things that have a lot of additives and that are further from the source of the farm or the ranch. We try and live by that and supply people with high quality food. And it's going to be more expensive, but you're going to taste the difference. And it's like with our burger, we don't cook it any different than anybody else, but every ingredient that we use in the burger is the best ingredients that we can find. And we actually just won an award, or not an award, but some guy, his name is John Hamburger Hopkins. He comes out with a list every year, and I think he rates 150 burger joints, and he named us number 1 for the best burger in Houston.
Wow. So we got to find out about that.
Yeah,
I have not had
Nice.
that burger.
That's right.
So, and also one of the things we didn't mention too, we talked about picking up the food, but you also have some tables there if someone wants to eat this burger or the enchiladas or anything else right there at 1024 Campbell Road, right?
Yeah, so we have, I think it's maybe 16 or 17 seats in True Craft. We can't really handle like the big parties as much, but we can handle up to 4 or 6 people. We're a fast casual restaurant, so all of our burgers are made fresh to order, and you're getting a gourmet burger in 7 to 8 minutes. And we have people that come in for breakfast. They'll do their
On the way to work too.
yeah.
Man,
They'll do their kind of little meeting, breakfast taco, have a meeting with somebody before they're heading into work. The dining has changed a lot. We used to sell meats actually from Midland Meat Company, but I took maybe about 2 months ago. I took out the meat cases and I added seating because our lunch business has gotten so busy with the burgers and the other items that we have. Like we have a rotisserie chicken and prosciutto club that's really popular, and we also have like a New Orleans style roast beef sandwich that does really well. So
there you go. Well, it sounds
Awesome.
good. So people can make their way to True Craft Market, 1024 Campbell Road. The website, truecraftmarket.com, right?
yes, sir.
And we say hello again, once again, to your wife.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and those babies.
Those babies.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
They're keeping us busy right now, definitely.
No
No doubt
kidding.
about it. Well, thank you for being with
Yes,
us,
sir.
Bryant Reckling, True Craft Market.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bryant.
Yep, thank you.